I think I finally have enough steelbooks that I can make an entire video about just the Steelbook Collection alone. So let's go through that, shall we? And shout out to the comment that was the inspiration for this video. Okay then, so let's not dilly-dally, shall we? So first of all, this is my latest one that came today, so it's the one that's readily available to me. It is Borderlands 3 on PlayStation 4. And I love steelbooks like this. I love pretty steelbooks. The more colourful a steelbook is, the better. On that same note, I suppose, we have the Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Unlimited Edition. Yeah, Unlimited Steelbook, which is pretty cool. I do wonder if Skyrim itself has a steelbook. I could not tell you. But sticking with the Bethesda theme, I've got a Fallout 4 steelbook, which I love Fallout. I truly wish that Fallout 3 and New Vegas had a steelbook. This one I got off eBay a while ago and is a little bit dented up, and then randomly the other day, somebody sent me another one to my PO box. In fact, quite a few of these steelbooks are steelbooks that people have sent to my PO box. So if you've ever done that, if you've ever even considered briefly doing that, you're an awesome person, and I loves you. Next up, what should we go for? This is quite a rare... Actually, no, this is not a rare one. This was quite a lucky one. So we've got Killzone 3 Collector's Edition, which I paid £1.50 for, because something very cool about CEX is quite often they do not categorise their steelbooks as a different game to their regular edition, so you can get them for the same price. So regardless of whether you brought the regular version of Killzone 3 or the steelbook version, it would still have cost you £1, which is pretty cool. Can I get the slipcover back on with one hand? I can. See how skillful that was. This next one, I love this game with a passion. This was the very first steelbook I ever owned. It's the one from the release of Batman Arkham City. I'm pretty happy because I run into this steelbook, or versions of this steelbook that have like Catwoman on, decently frequently in CX's on my travels. And they're always in much worse condition than mine. I'm pretty happy to own this because it's very nostalgic to me. It was my very, very first steelbook. I remember just thinking it was so strange when I got it that it was one. I wish that Arkham Asylum had a steelbook. I know that Arkham Knight definitely does. I don't own that one. Not yet, anyway. Keeping an eye out. Next up, something else very cool. The Metal Gear Rising Revengeance steelbook. I did actually get decently unlucky with this. So, my copy of Resident Evil Rising Revengeance came in a regular PlayStation 3 case back in the release of the game, and in my mother's old house, before I moved house when I was a kid, a lot of those old cases got wrecked. That was one of the cases that got wrecked. And then I bought this case specifically off of eBay, knowing there wasn't a disc in it, and I was just going to put my disc in it and have it be complete that way. But then, very randomly, like I said, CEX sell them for the same price as the regular edition. I happened to run into this same steelbook a bit later in a CEX, so I got very unlucky there, because the odds of running into one of them is pretty low. Next up, we've got Resident Evil 4, the Tin Book Steelbook edition for PS2. This is just one of my many, many, many versions of Resident Evil 4, if we're being real here. I've got quite a few of them. For example, here's another one. This is the Resident Evil 4 Remake Steelbook, so I'm pretty happy to have this. I got this one by chance. I didn't exactly choose it. I think I just ordered from some random... I don't know, when it came out last year, I bought it on the day that it came out. I think it could have been Game, and I didn't necessarily choose the steelbook from Game. It just happened to come. On that same note, speaking of Game and remakes of horror games with steelbooks, to this day, over 1 month later, I still do not have my steelbook for Silent Hill 2. I just don't think that's going to happen anymore, to be honest with you. So, that's a shame. What's next? This one's an interesting one, another very cheap one. I'm not a huge Halo fan, I'll be real with you. As a kid, I was always more of a PlayStation kind of guy. But I can appreciate these games as they are, as they were. And I ran into this one, and for £1.50, I'm not going to turn down a steelbook. So this is a steelbook for Halo 4. I do also presume that there might be a steelbook for the other ones, just because I suppose that would kind of make sense. I'm not sure. If you took a shot for every steelbook I had of a game that was its 4th entry in the franchise, you may not make it to the end of this video, because next up we have got the Xbox 360 version of Devil May Cry Collector's Edition Steelbook. I would like the PlayStation 3 version just because I'm typically more of a PlayStation collector than an Xbox collector, but I'm a huge fan Devil May Cry, and I own about 4 different versions of Devil May Cry 4 in particular, between the special edition for the PlayStation 4, the original version for the 360, I've just got a few. So this was pretty cool when I ran into it. This was one that they do price differently because they priced this one as the collector's edition, which meant I did spend quite a lot over the regular price of a Devil May Cry 4. But, you know, for a steelbook of a game that I love, I'm not going to complain. Next up, I've yet to begin playing through the Final Fantasy games, but I'm on a quest to collect the majority, or at least all of them. And I got lucky in the Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns that I stumbled across also happened to be a steelbook version of said game. And like I said, I really very much so appreciate when steelbooks are very bright and colourful like this. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this one back on. Granted, the slipcover is a little bit yellow. I'm not entirely fussed about having the slipcovers. I almost kind of wish they didn't have them because I think it'd be pretty cool. Next up, we got Middle-earth Shadow of War. I'm looking to get a Shadow of Mordor one. There was a dude who messaged me the other day that I think is intending on sending me one out, but that's pretty awesome. So this one's pretty cool, because obviously, if you're aware of how Shadow of War and Mordor work, it's you're showing one body joint with Celebrimbor and... what was his name? Talion? Something like that, I think. And the case spreads out to be both halves of him. This is very pretty. I don't know how they managed to make the character contrast in such detail versus the black background of the case, but that is a beautiful case, and I'm very happy that I got that. What's next? We're about halfway through, I would say, if not a little bit more than, I'm not sure. I think I also may have remembered one more that I did not get off the shelf. Next up, we have got Mortal Shell. Once again, this was another one where I got pretty lucky. I was just there to get the regular version of Mortal Shell, and it just so happened that the regular version was a steelbook. Interestingly, this is one that they could not sell absent the slipcover because, for some reason, it does not in any way have anything identifiable on the case as to what game it even is. It isn't like most steelbooks that have the name of the game up the side of the spine. So, got to keep that slipcover. I mean, I'm never selling anything game-wise, but you know what I mean. Next up, this was one that was definitely sent to me by a fan mail sender, so this was very cool. We have got the Guardians of the Galaxy steelbook, which is lovely, because once again, bright, colourful colours. Like, Mortal Shell is a cool steelbook that I got, but like, I much prefer these ones with the bright colours, and I think they're very pretty. I think it's very interesting how some steelbooks feel a bit like... this Halo one feels almost like plastic more than like... I'm sure it's the same material. Like, I'm under no illusion that these are actually made of steel. Like, as much as we call them steelbooks. Like, the Resident Evil 4 one back here is considered a tin book. I'm pretty sure it's listed as on CX's website. Like, it's definitely not listed as steelbook. I know that. But some of them feel a little bit more metal than others. That's for sure. Anyway, what was next after Guardians of the Galaxy? Another one that was sent to me by a fan. This one's very cool because this was one where not only did the dude do me a solid in sending me a steelbook version of it, but the dude did me a solid because of the fact that he saved me having to buy the game again just regularly myself. Quite a few of the games that I've bought over the years have been digital games. Like, for example, Sefue was a game that was digital only upon its release, and I wanted to get the physical version of it at some point, and now I've got the physical version of it for PlayStation 5, and it's a steelbook. And therefore, a win is a win. What's next? Another one where I got decently lucky. So we got Back 4 Blood. This is a game that, if I'm being real with it, I would not have bought if it was not a steelbook. Because I remember that Back 4 Blood didn't exactly get brilliant reviews, and I could just go and play Left 4 Dead like I did a couple of years ago, because anyone that follows me knows that I'm pretty comfortable playing old games as regularly as humanly possible. But if I see a steelbook for the same price as a regular version, and it's a game I'm even a little bit interested in, I'm going to get it. I remember when I had about 3 steelbooks. My steelbook collection is doubling by the week, because I know that I've spoken to some people this week, and I think I've got maybe 5 more steelbooks that are being sent to me within the next week or so, which I think is pretty awesome. Next up was another accidental steelbook, but I'm pretty glad it was accidental considering the price that I paid, because it's a game that is dirt cheap now. The Deathloop steelbook. So for some reason, when I bought this one from CX, it was still £50. I'm pretty sure it's about £6 now, and the game isn't even that old. It's maybe 2 or 3 years old, but I do really enjoy this game. It's a lot of fun. I love time loops in anything ever. If a piece of media has got a time loop aspect, it's probably going to be something that I enjoy. And this steelbook in particular came with the regular case as well. So I have the regular case for Deathloop on PS5, and also the Steelbook version, which cannot complain about, can I? Next up, another PS3 one. This is an interesting one. So some of the PS3 Steelbooks have got the Platinum Hits colours across the top and the PlayStation logo down the side, whereas typically that would be reserved for like the slip cover that goes on it. But I'm not entirely too fussed about this. See, here you go, tin edition rather than Steelbook. And also the quality of this one isn't brilliant. However there, I'm not too bothered about the fact the quality isn't brilliant, because I feel like this game in particular lends itself to having that sort of dishevelled look across the top. I did once encounter the Turok game on PS3 in Steelbook form, which is something that I would like, but it was in awful condition, so I didn't get that. But with Jericho, I think it kind of suits it, because it's sort of grindhouse aesthetic to it anyway. It's sort of dark and dingy, so it being pristine wouldn't make much sense. We've got 4 more to go, everybody. Here's another accidental Steelbook with Deus Ex Mankind Divided. So this is another example of a game that I probably wouldn't have bought separately, because it's just not my sort of thing. When it comes to sci-fi and futuristic games like Cyberpunk, they're just not for me. I gave Cyberpunk a go, I beat it, I played through it this year. Even after beating it, I was like, yeah, that's going to be a never again. But this one was on the counter in a CEX, and I was like, is that for sale? And they were like, it can be. And I was like, yes. Because once again, it was the same price as the regular version at only £3, and is pretty pristine. And is a pretty one because of the yellows and the blacks. Again, when we got colours, and I think colours are cool. It's interesting, all the different kinds of slipcover. You notice how some of them are like transparent, and other ones are like this, where they've got the really open top, and I don't know. There's loads of different ways that they've done them. Next up, we've got a Steelbook that somebody sent to me with Assassin's Creed Syndicate, so shout out to the dude that sent me this. I would love if I could get more Assassin's Creed Steelbooks. I've been on the lookout, I've been checking out eBay. It seems that Assassin's Creed 1 got a Steelbook for the PC, but then Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood and Revelations did not get a Steelbook at all. And then 4 and 3 may have got Steelbooks. And then pretty much anything on the PlayStation 4 generation and after that did get a Steelbook. So I'm going to keep an eye out, and I'll let you know. Next up is Dark Souls 3 Apocalypse Edition. So we've got the Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 Steelbooks. So this is a pretty heavy Steelbook at that. Sadly, Dark Souls 1 does not appear to have a Steelbook edition, which is kind of sad, but is what it is nonetheless. Once again, priced at the same price as a regular game, so 15 quid or so, which is pretty cool. And finally, my last Steelbook is the 10th Anniversary Edition bundle of Vanquish and Bayonetta, so this is technically 2. I saved this one till last because it's one of the prettiest Steelbooks they own, because everything's a little bit 3D and like pronounced. Somebody's going to comment on that. You better. I did it for engagement. It's a very pretty Steelbook. I didn't even realise it was a Steelbook. I just wanted this because I imagined that the PS4 version is probably one of the more definitive ways of playing Bayonetta, since I'm pretty sure the PS3 version isn't very good. And the PS4 version has to be better than the Xbox 360 version, surely. But it also just so happened to be a Steelbook, and obviously shall not be complaining there. I think I may have told a lie. I think this might be a Steelbook too. I need to crack it open and have a look. But it's the Gears of War 2 limited edition set for the 360. I think this is... this is another Steelbook. Lovely. I don't know if Gears of War 1 and 3 got Steelbooks as well, but Gears of War 2 did, so that's another Steelbook. If the other Gears games had Steelbooks or have Steelbooks, that'll definitely be something that I keep an eye out for. But let's have a little bit of a tally up as to how many we've got, shall we? Okay, let's count up how many Steelbooks I have in total, shall we? This is also a thumbnail shot, but you guys won't remember that by the time you get to that bit. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 24 Steelbooks. That's not bad. If I got to 50 Steelbooks, I could have an entire Billy shelf exclusively Steelbooks. I'd like you guys to pray for me, by the way, because I'm now going to have to spend the next half an hour putting them back into chronological order where they're supposed to be amongst my collection, whether it be this one or this one over here. And speaking of over here, if you guys have made it this far into the video, do be sure to subscribe and like the video, because I'd love a silver play button one day underneath my framed Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I think that'd be pretty cool, don't you?